Maniacs, welcome back to the channel. Your local bedhead here. We are going to be reacting to another side-eye guy video, and this one should be a lot of fun. This should be interesting. Letta Me Out. Letta Me Out. I visited one of the world's most haunted, or alleged haunted dolls. I have seen this doll before, and genuinely, it's a creepy doll. I think it was found in like the floorboards of a house or a crawl space or something along those lines, if I can recall. I can't remember 100%. But I do remember the story a little bit of this specific doll. Do I believe objects can be haunted? I do. Genuinely, I do. I think that there is a very good, strong possibility that there are some things in this world that people get genuinely attached to, and when, let's say, they pass, there might be an essence of something there. I do believe that. I think it's an absolute possibility, and again, this is coming from somebody who does believe in stuff like this. I do believe in demons. I believe in spirits. I believe in all this stuff. I believe in the other world. I do. I'm curious to see what side-eye guy catches with this thing. I'm curious. I want to know. Maybe there is something that weird happens. Who knows? So if you like this type of content and want some more content like this, of course, go support the original video by Side-Eye Guy. I almost said video. Go support the original video by Side-Eye Guy. Give him a lot of love. Give him a lot of support. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and dive into this, and I'll give you guys my honest thoughts, of course, during and after the video.
We've told some unusual stories on Extra over the years, but this has to be one of the strangest. It's about a man and a 200-year-old doll.
You can tell when he doesn't like people.
Doug Murray discovered there is a spooky side to an ancient gypsy toy.
I kind of feel like he's moving on me.
Could this be the devil at work? There are reports of women screaming, dogs running amok, and even grown men shying away.
They feel strange, don't they?
Some people, yeah, it feel really strange.
This would have to be the strangest story I've ever covered.
A doll that Anthony Frangi discovered has some unexplained powers.
Have you ever seen the show Rosie and Jim? My God, that reminded me so much of Rosie. There's like a quick scene of like one of the dolls just popping his head up through the window. That was like 100% that, yeah.
Speak or communicate in any way while I'm here, Letta? Just make a noise into that mic, please. It's got an intimidating look about it.
May cause a few shivers on the spine and those little hairs on the back of your neck to stand up.
Perhaps the most famous and certainly the ugliest, the demon doll.
Top 10 most haunted dolls in the world, and one of them was Letta.
Very spooky.
Why?
Just lots of funny things have happened.
So do you think it's evil?
I don't think he's evil.
He is just staring at you.
If you believe in voodoo or extrasensory powers, then Kerry Walton of Mount Cotton has a tale for you.
The Letta Me Out doll.
Today's video is going to be something a little different from anything else I've done before. I went to visit one of the world's most haunted dolls, Letta, or Letta Me Out. For those of you who are new to my channel, I'm not one to believe in haunted dolls. It was actually Dawson Toller who told me about Letta. A couple of months back, Dawson DM'd me asking if I ever heard of the Letta Me Out doll since it's in Australia. Dawson fell down a haunted doll rabbit hole, which I get the feeling might be how he spends most of his free time. Oh, and by the way, because this video wouldn't have happened without Dawson, I want to give him another shout out. Please give Dawson Toller a sub and check out his ghost hunting content for yourself. Also, the intro to this video was done by Dawson, and I think he did a great job with it, so a huge thank you again to Dawson for my intro. Anyway, thanks to Dawson, we discovered this doll used to live close-ish to me here in Australia. For those of you who don't know, this is an English accent you're hearing right now, but I've been living in Australia for quite a while. Despite me being very skeptical on haunted dolls, I have to admit, I did find Letta a little more credible than many of the other haunted dolls. Hayley is the owner of Letta, and Hayley keeps Letta in a spare room in her house. Letta is not on display for a fee like Annabelle or Robert the doll, but just in a spare room in a regular, normal house. Letta is not on public display as an attraction. Hayley didn't charge me to see Letta, and Hayley has been offered a lot of money to sell Letta, which she has always refused.
Wow.
Anyway, I just wanted to share that because I find it very interesting with the credibility of Hayley and Letta. And while I'm talking about Hayley, she does have a TikTok channel where she does videos with Letta.
I am going to follow that, by the way. And if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I'd appreciate it. We are almost to 700 followers. You guys are killing it right now, and I'm going to definitely follow her. I think that's really cool. I actually do find that fascinating that she has been offered so much money and refuses to sell it. I think that is kind of neat, and it does, yeah, I think it gives a little more credibility to the doll itself, because with Robert and Annabelle, you got to pay a little bit amount of money to go see those things, and they kind of feel more like movie props at a museum, right? You pay a lot of money to go into one of these high-class movie memorabilia museums, and then you get to see it, right? You get to see Captain America's costume. You pay a good amount of money, you can go see Annabelle or Robert. I'm not sure if you have to pay a lot of money, but you have to pay money. With this, it's not really the case, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who would love this thing, Letta. Don't mean to keep referring to it as a thing, Letta, in a museum, because they'd make a lot of money off of it. And unfortunately, that's how it feels anymore with the paranormal. It's all about how much money we can make off of it. So for all those people saying that debunkers are trying to make money off of the faces of other paranormal channels, well, a lot of paranormal channels and a lot of people want to collect these kind of things so they can make money off of you guys. We think the whole world should be experiencing this and be open up to this. No, you're pretty much doing it so you can make a profit. You're doing it because even knowing people have warned you not to, hell, even my own personal opinions about the Warrens, they never wanted a lot of people to actually, they didn't want to put this out to the public too much. They didn't want everybody just to go in there and start looking at them all. Something there that was kind of keeping them from, making a whole lot of money off of their museum. But like now today, you can just go there and look at all this stuff and make, go to the Comic-Cons and stuff and see them, and yeah.
Only just started this channel, but if you're interested in this doll, then please follow Hayley on TikTok. I'll leave a link in the description
that's a TikTok.
for her channel.
I'm an idiot. I was sitting here saying it was Instagram. It was TikTok.
And tell her Side-Eye Guy said hello. So, on this road trip through rural Australia to see Hayley and Letta, I was accompanied by a good friend of mine, Jay. He's actually the guy who does the intro music to my videos. Not the intro for this video, because as I mentioned earlier, this was a special one-off made by Dawson, but the regulars to my channel will know exactly the intro I'm talking about. As Jay and I were driving towards the doll, Google Maps, for some reason, took us down some weird dirt roads.
Seriously, where the f*** are we? Whoa!
I've been there.
No, seriously. No, you're like making fun of it. Where the f are we? I don't know. Alright, stop swerving, you prick. What? Oh, shit! Long way to walk. Your piece of shit car can't handle this.
How are you only at 100,000? I mean, not.
Christ.
I was about to say, how are you not almost at 100? How are you not at 100,000? I almost said, how are you at 100,000? No, how are you not at 100,000 yet, man? You are insanely hilarious and talented. How?
Whoa, that was a big one. Yeah, if it rains, and we have to come back over this, we're in serious trouble.
Yeah, it's all gonna turn to mud.
Lucky we've got a tent. Is it that one-man tent for both of us to sleep in? Yeah, well, fantastic. Yeah, I don't snore, but I do fart a lot in my sleep. You also get quite handsy. Well, that's just my version of sleepwalking.
Thank God Jay's piece of shit car didn't break down on us, and we did make it to Hayley's house. So, on with the video.
So it was dead silent. No one was talking, obviously. That's how you do an EVP. And then suddenly all this static started coming through randomly. And then we heard the name Walton. And I'm getting goosebumps talking about this now.
Really? Okay, so Kerry Walton is the guy who discovered Letta.
So we heard Walton.
Your grandfather. I shouldn't say the guy, excuse me. Your grandfather.
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps now, look. So we heard Walton come back, and then and a bunch of static came through, and there was a bit of a laugh in the background. And when we heard that back, my nan and I bolted out of the room.
So do you think he's evil?
I don't think he's evil. You can tell when he doesn't like people. He's perfectly fine with me and my kids. My husband's a little bit iffy of him, especially having him in the house. Right. So he was a bit skeptic until like the lights started turning on, or the door would randomly open after it's been locked with a key.
So one of the big things here is that as skeptical as I am about haunted dolls and haunted items, I fully respect that in your house you've been you're welcoming me in here. Last thing I want to do is to do anything that's going to make living in your house difficult after I leave. So what are the rules for me, or for me and my friend here?
Just advise, just don't say anything nasty about him.
Be respectful.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the key. One of my friends kind of poked him in the eye a few weeks ago, and yeah, it was kind of bad after that. I think he kind of punishes me a little bit, like if I let somebody be disrespectful to him. So I think it's kind of like a little bit of a punishment towards me. But yeah, just.
I like that side-eye guy asked that question before, he did anything. Because, that's something that I feel like not a lot of people, especially, and I'm going to keep saying this too, a lot of these bigger paranormal groups go into these people's places and these people's, locations, and they do things, supposedly do things, without permission to kind of amp up their videos more. But they never ask the owners, hey, is it okay if we do this in case, maybe, you don't want us to do certain things, if there's rules, you don't want us to, like, upset something, because you are the ones who are going to have to deal with whatever happens afterwards. I do like the fact that Side-Eye Guy actually asked him this, and maybe a lot of these other channels do ask, they just never show it on video, but I think it's important to show it on video because it also influences other people who go out to these locations to ask those questions. Be respectful to the owners. They're the ones who are going to be dealing with the aftermath afterwards, right? And like Side-Eye Guy, ironically, he was also the one who covered that whole Sam and Colby and Seth Borden situation, where those guys were just not respectful to a lot of the stuff. Hell, even breaking the owner's property. They just weren't respectful. This is class, and I like it. I like class.
Be respectful to him. That's all I can suggest.
Understood. Letta, I'm going to be respectful. Is there any chance, Letta, you'd like to rock on the chair? What I find crazy is, like, and I mean this with the greatest respect to you, Letta, but like it's that 200 years ago this was like a cute children's toy. And I don't know, you look at children's toys today,
a bit different, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What would be what would be adorable and cute back then is now like, oh, like what the hell is that thing? Like my pal Jasper back here. I find him to be really adorable, but he is a little creepy, I won't lie. He's one of my pals. I love him, but he's not haunted. That I know of. His name is Jasper. I let my audience name him, and I love that name, Jasper. So he's my personal doll. Not sure if I should take that. You know what? I feel weird saying that. Let's just continue.
Also heard like a rumor. This came from Psych Medium that it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. I hope I'm not butchering this. Is that the maker of this doll did it in the image of his deceased child?
So a couple of the psychics have said that. But I did a lot of research a fair few years ago now, dating back to Eastern Europe and that sort of thing, like when they used to carve things like that. And what I this is just my interpretation of it, is back then, if your family was condemned of being witchcraft or anything like that, what they would do is that they would actually bind the mother and the children and drown them, because everything to do with him's to do with water. Right. Then the father was sold into slavery. So whether it be blacksmithing, wood carving, or anything like that. So I don't personally, because his features aren't that of a child. The height is, but the facial expression
very much so, yeah,
isn't. So I honestly believe that he was carved in sort of like a resemblance to the bloke that actually condemned his family to death.
Oh.
That's what I strongly believe, but I do believe that there is a child spirit in there. But I think he was designed to look like the guy that may have condemned his family to death.
Okay.
That's what I...
And it goes to show that the people that probably... Actually, I think that makes more sense than, making it look like one of their deceased children. Because, yeah, looking at the thing, you do not see a child. You see a full-grown man's face immediately. So I don't know where these psychics were getting at, but it goes to show that you can't trust every psychic medium you come across, because they sometimes, I don't think, know what they're talking about. She did her research. Mad respect to that. Mad respect. Go follow her. I'm going to leave her TikTok in the description.
That's interesting.
That's what I personally believe. Because like, the way that he does things, it is like a child, but he doesn't, like, the facial features and everything don't resemble a child.
No, you're right.
They resemble a grown man.
That is not a child's nose.
No.
Even the hair, like,
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah, you're right. That's very much that's a man's face.
Yes.
Looks like me.
Has that always been the same outfit?
So the original outfit disintegrated, but Pop and my grandmother did see what it looked like, so my grandmother actually made that exactly the same as what he was wearing.
Right. Okay.
Same colours, same look, everything.
Do you mind if I ask as well? He found the doll. He had the doll for the longest time, and then like, more recently, he was unable to take care of the doll.
So Letta was kind of sitting in my grandfather's wardrobe, because, like, you know, he'd have family come over and they're all terrified of him. And then after my grandmother died last year, Pop just kind of went a bit downhill, so
rest in peace.
He wasn't really doing anything with him, and I run all Letta's social media pages and everything
Sure.
like that.
Okay, so it just naturally kind of because I was going to ask, it skipped a generation. It went
Yes.
straight to the his grandchild.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So my dad's not interested in him. My dad was about 4 when Pop brought him home, and yeah, my dad doesn't like him.
Right. Okay.
Type thing. So I'm the only one that's shown any interest in him and
Sure.
looks after him. So made sense for him to stay within the family.
Your grandfather Kerry, it was his wish for it to stay in the family.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. So
That's very sweet.
Pop's still actively involved, type thing. But yes, he is my doll.
I actually respect the hell out of that. Because of the grandfather's wishes, he wished that the doll would remain in the family. And it's pretty much become a family heirloom, right? I mean, if you would have sold it for, like, you know, a couple $100,000, that money would have been gone. But that family heirloom would have meant more because it has survived, you know, decade after decade after decade of being among the family. And that, to me, is a little bit more powerful than however much they were probably offering. Like, you don't want to disrespect your grandfather by just selling it and just taking the money that would probably only last you only good little while. Yeah, I respect it. I think it's a very respectful thing of her to do.
So
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Is okay saying the doll, or is it better to say Letta?
the doll or Letta's fine.
That's another. I noticed you got dogs, and one of the claims I hear is that dogs don't like
No,
Letta.
no, I haven't taken him out to my dogs yet.
They're outdoor dogs, then, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
I will say this: when I talk, sometimes I'm sure I know it's just the weight distribution of the dog, but it kind of feels like he's moving on me.
That's not.
But it must be because he's bottom heavy and it's kind of big. But it feels like he's moving on me.
Some people do say that he kind of wriggles.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It feels like he wriggles. Yeah, that's exactly the way I'd put it.
So sometimes
Looks like I'm
after
being
we've done
stared at.
interviews and stuff, if I go put him in a chair, he goes real stiff and doesn't want to go back in the chair.
I'm sorry. I mistook your eyes for those being your real eyes for a second, and they were just kind of looking off sideways. It looks like he was staring right at the camera. That is actually kind of awesome, yet unsettling.
Yeah, it's just a clip on.
Maybe that side because it's a little bit tighter than the left side.
That's pretty smart.
Okay, hope that's okay, Letta. So if you wanna speak or communicate in any way while I'm here, Letta, just make a noise into that mic, please. The mic didn't work. This is less of a haunted doll thing and more of a side-eye guy is an idiot kind of thing.
You know, dude, hey, it's okay to experiment. Like, you tried it. It didn't work. That's how you live and learn. You live and learn. No, I wouldn't say an idiot. It's just experimenting.
From a friend of mine over in America, and he read an article about I think it was like the top 5 or top 10 most haunted dolls in the world, and one of them was Letta. And he said to me, it was like he didn't know where in Australia I lived, and he was like, "Oh, do you live near?" I think Warwick at the time, where he read was like, you know, where Letta used to. I think it was in a museum in Warwick. Is that right?
No, he was never.
No, never in a museum. Okay, we used to reside in Warwick. And he goes, "Are you near there?" And I'm like, you know what? I actually am quite close to there. And then I went online and did some research on Letta, and I couldn't find Letta anywhere.
Yeah.
I had no idea where to find Letta. And then eventually, there's lots of YouTube videos and news articles and all sorts. And then eventually, I found a Instagram.
Yeah.
I can't stop looking at him.
And
I wasn't sure if this was like the owner of Letta or if this was just like a fan page for Letta, and then I got talking to you, and here we are.
Yes.
So this is really fascinating. So Hayley, do you mind just telling us the story of how because Letta was originally found by your granddad?
Yes.
Do you mind just telling us that story, please?
Yeah. So my granddad went back to Wagga Wagga, New South Wales in 1972 for his grandmother's funeral, and he was a bit of a bottle collector back in the day, and there used to be this old abandoned house. And Pop told me that what happened was when he was a little kid, no one lived in this house. All the kids were terrified of it. So when he went back for the funeral, him and his brother decided to kind of crawl in the crawl space because it was near like an old bottle factory type thing. And they wanted to see if there was any bottles in there, and Pop was kind of in the crawl space, and he came across him thinking that it was a little kid. So he ended up bringing him out. The clothes just kind of fell apart when he picked him up. So yeah, Pop found him and brought him home. So he's been in the family ever since, but the whole trip, from what Pop told me, that was based around death. Like, he went back for his grandmother's funeral. He also found this portrait that was in the home as well. And it's of these two little kids holding a dead canary. And it's called The Mourners, so Pop brought that home as well. But yeah, Pop said, like, he just couldn't believe how perfect Letta was intact. Because this house, I've actually been to Wagga recently, and Pop took me to the location of where the old house was. It was demolished probably within 12 months after Letta was taken out. But it's right across from the big lake in Wagga. So that house had been flooded, everything. So it's kind of strange that he is perfectly intact when there was so much water go through that.
Looking after Letta, and I will just say right now, one of the most interesting things I found about this is when I tracked down this doll that's pretty well known, pretty famous, got a lot of history. It's, you know, a lot of local history here, especially. It's not in a museum. It's not, you're not charging for anyone to see this doll. It's in your house, locked away. You said you keep it locked away in your house. There's no financial.
The boys are going to see this video and want to meet him. I guarantee it. Something's going to happen where the boys are going to be like, hey, we're in Australia. Let's go ahead and, like, Josh and Molly are definitely going to want to see this thing. It'd be really neat because, you know, they're very big into the paranormal themselves and they do that stuff. It'd be kind of neat to see a video. Now, obviously, I don't know if she is going to allow that because the boys are a bit of, compared to Side Eye Guy, they're very much, they're an excited kind of group of people. And I'm not sure if she's going to watch their videos and see if they are respectful enough to want to hold this doll. I mean, obviously, I don't see Josh doing anything disrespectful, and I don't think Molly would either, especially in a situation where this is not theirs, and this is priceless. You can't just destroy this thing or mess with it in a way or be disrespectful to it, especially if the owner is telling you should not do this. And I think they're more aware of that now, but it would be neat to see more people be able to have a chance to, like, sit down with this doll, with Letta, and have interactions with it and see what happens. You know, you never know. I mean, I'm kind of skeptical about haunted dolls myself. Actually, recently I've been talking about Annabelle a little bit, and I'm not really sure if I believe that doll is actually haunted as much as people make it out to be. But Letta is one that you certainly do not hear much of, and it's really cool that he did a video, because I was kind of, I forgot all about it until I saw the face. I'm like, oh wow, it's that doll. And
game for you. You're doing this just because, like, you know, this is part of your grandfather's wish is to do this.
Yes.
I will say now, seriously, it feels like it's wiggling. I swear to God, I'm almost certain it must be the weight distribution of, like, you know, maybe it's bottom heavy and I'm moving around, but it does feel like it's moving on me. Yeah. It really does.
A lot of people have said that he wriggles to get comfortable, like a child.
Right.
On your lap.
A little bounce? Is that a bad idea?
No.
Okay. Would you mind telling us the actual?
It's like you do a whole Chucky situation. I said, talk to me, damn it, or else I'm gonna throw you in the fire. And he just looks at you.
Of the history of Letta.
So, back in 1990, a Brisbane psychic did a reading on him. and she said that it was a child spirit trapped in the doll, and that it was a child that was drowned over 200 years ago back then. So she believes that the spirit is trapped in the doll, but everything to do with him's water. So usually when we take him outside, it'll rain within that week, without fail every time.
That's interesting.
He doesn't like being near water either.
Okay.
So I think that the psychic was kind of on the nail with it. That water's a big trigger for him. She said that he was made in Eastern Europe over 200 years ago by a... and then she kind of got a bit freaked out and stopped the reading. I'm not sure entirely what happened. I was only a baby when that happened, but she went into freak out mode big time, to the point that she started reading my top and saying, like, can you please ask him to stop? I'm not entirely sure what was happening in her home, but she was very, very scared. So that's pretty much all we know of him. Letta Me Out, my grandfather named him that, so we don't actually know what his original name was, nothing. But he was dated by the nails in the bottom of his feet as well.
As well, this is real human hair.
Yes, yes. So you can tell the difference between like synthetic hair type thing, but with that, I mean, it's sitting as naturally as mine is at the moment with all the hair sticking up. So, but we've been asked, like, did we want to do DNA testing on it or anything, but because it's not actually attached to a scalp.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that you have him locked away because you have children in the house and
Yes.
The dogs live outside. How often do you bring Letta out?
So I try and bring him out as much as I can. I try and avoid bringing him out when my children are home, just because obviously little kids, doll, they want to touch everything. But he's a lot happier in the room, I've noticed. Where he was living, he was just in a wardrobe at my grandfather's house, and he didn't like being in the wardrobe, so I think like giving him his own space has kind of helped a lot. But yeah, I do try and bring him out as often as I can.
And I have heard conflicting things about Letta as far as Letta's overall energy, I suppose.
Yes.
There's a script where Amy visited Letta several years ago, and Amy said that she saw Letta as a very positive, loving kind of spirit, a very childlike spirit. You said some things to me that you kind of, it depending on certain situations, that may not necessarily be the case. So what's your experiences with living with Letta?
So my experiences with him is he picks up vibes on people. So if he can pick up like a negative energy of somebody, it's a negative experience. A lot of people that have come into the home that are kind of disrespectful towards him or my family type thing, and then they see him, they just cold shivers, they just get this really uneasy feeling. But towards me and my family, there's nothing negative there.
Right.
I grew up with him. I was terrified of him when I was a child.
Well, I would say because maybe it's because that you kept on to him, and maybe that's one of the reasons why he probably does not give off a negative energy. I mean, we could always say, you know, maybe it's because they got used to living with him and whatnot, but I feel like that could be a possibility, especially if he is haunted, because again, I do believe in that objects can be haunted or maybe have some sort of energy attached to them. I do. It's just my personal opinion. You don't have to agree with me. It's okay. But if that is the case, I would say maybe it's because he's still in the family, where I feel like a lot of families would just want to sell him to get the money off of it. You know, oh, you know, it's just a doll, get rid of it. You know, here's $500,000, right? We're going to be happy for a while. But this family has not let him go. And I think if this doll maybe has, you know, the personality they are saying he has, it would appreciate that. Yeah.
But I think growing up with him and showing him that I do respect him and that I do look after him, I think that's kind of made it a lot easier to live with. There is occasions where, like, if he's feeling someone's negative energy, that he does do things after people leave.
Sure.
Type thing. But other than that, like, I don't believe that, like, towards my family at least, that he is negative. I think that he was just happy to be rescued out of that crawl space and kind of kept within the family.
And we have obviously no idea how Letta found its way in that crawl space.
No idea. No idea.
Or even how it even got to Australia.
Exactly. We have no idea how he ended up down there. But it was, you know, it was a happy accident that Pop found him, and
it's now a big part of your family,
yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
So eventually, Letta's going to be passed down to...
Correct.
Yeah.
So he will go to my daughter when she gets older. You know, from a young age, she's been around him since she's a baby. She's about to be 6. She loves him to pieces, so just makes sense to keep him in the family. I don't want him kind of going behind glass doors. I don't want that for him. I think he's quite happy with the family and staying with the family.
Honestly, even if there was like none of the haunted stuff on the rest of it, if you just say to me like, I got over a 200-year-old doll from Romania, that in itself is genuinely interesting.
Pretty neat.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What I find interesting though,
And
is that he's old.
And it's the fact that he is 200 years old and he's in as good of condition as he is in. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, I wouldn't want to sell it either.
The internet, he had to have come from someone's family, but no one's
claimed.
That's what I find. He had to have come from somewhere.
Yeah, you're right. Even if you were just to Google haunted doll, if you didn't know it was Letta was called Letta Me Out, you would find it eventually if you just.
But there's nothing anywhere. Someone did message me once, I think it was about 7 years ago now, saying that it was her grandmother's doll, but she said she had a photo, but then wouldn't show me the photo. So
yeah, you can't go by someone's word.
I bet.
And I've had a lot of offers for him, but I won't do it. How did you feel when you walked in the room and saw him? It's a lot of.
I'm not. So okay, this is all honesty.
Yeah.
I'm not good when a lot of the time since doing this channel, a lot of people say, "Do you get this sort of feeling of this?"
Yeah.
I'm not good with that.
Yeah.
I'm not good with feelings. I'm English.
Yeah.
But what I did feel is when I saw this doll that I've been doing so much research on, is like when I saw it, it's like, first of all, it's bigger than I was expecting.
Yeah.
And it is every bit as. I'm going to choose my words carefully here, but even still, I'm going to say the word intimidating.
Yeah.
It's got an intimidating look about it. It's definitely got a I mean this without much respect, dear Letta, like a creepy, intimidating look about it. And the eyes, they must be like sort of glass eyes.
They're blown glass.
Right, they kind of really stare at you. They like quite a piercing stare in the eyes.
If you shine a torch into his eyes, you can actually see blood vessels.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
He's very bizarre. How this doll was created is very weird.
No.
Yes. You can see
Can
tiny
we see that?
Oh my
surely
gosh.
they couldn't do that 200 years ago.
So if you look carefully.
I see definitely the pupils are really there.
So kind of on the sides, in the brown bit, you can see kind of...
Oh yeah.
You got the torch back on?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Oh my god.
Can the camera pick it up? You can see, if you go right into the pupils, you can sort of see like lines in the pupils.
Just got to get the angle right.
Can you just tell me maybe some of like the biggest falsehoods that you've heard about? Maybe some of the more common ones, because I've heard a few that just sound silly.
Yeah, that he has a real brain.
Yeah.
That's a big one. He doesn't, so if I lift up his
You want to come over?
look like one, but it's not.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of people saying that he has a real human brain. It's not real.
No.
It does kind of resemble one, but it's not.
I would imagine it's there to keep the hair in place.
Yes. That he's a marionette doll.
Right.
But marionettes, they're usually strung up, and he doesn't have holes there. We suspect he did have earrings at one point.
Yeah, I was going to say there's holes in the ears. Yeah.
We do suspect that he had earrings at some point, but they weren't on him when he was found. There's been a couple people have taken jokes that my grandfather said out of context, so he's cracked jokes saying that he wakes up to Letta standing beside his bed and things like that.
Right.
So a lot of people put that in some articles stating that he walks around.
Would you ever be tempted like to put a camera in the room and just...
We have done that before and the camera's fallen down.
Oh, wow.
So there has been
So he doesn't like it?
No. We've had like massive like camera crews and everything like that, and he doesn't like it at all. A lot of the technology stops working and stuff like that when he's got like a massive camera crew around.
This may well be the point in the video where those of you who believe in haunted dolls will say that Letta is the reason why there are so many glitches in this video. Personally for me, I just think the camera is a bit glitchy, but of course I'm going to say that.
Well, Hayley, I really appreciate you see Letta for ourselves to ask these questions.
I certainly think, you know, because I was noticing some audio malfunctions too. I'm not sure how often that happens with your equipment. I do find it weird that, of course, in the presence of a doll that, you know, that could be potentially haunted, that you did start experiencing something like that. But you're not like a big film crew or nothing like that, where I was just mentioning the boys would probably bring more cameramen, right? So, I mean, that maybe would be interesting if something happened with their stuff. But, yeah, I could definitely see it being either way. For sure, for sure. But that's just kind of me being the unbiased, and I'm still a believer in the paranormal, so it could be a possibility for sure. But he's probably right. It probably was just the camera equipment just messing up.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And this was a truly great experience. I'm really being it. This was a really, for someone who doesn't really believe in haunted dolls, like, this has been awesome. Yeah. It really has. So thank you very much, Hayley, for taking the time to let us in here and to see Letta. And thank you very much, Letta, for, you know, being a good sport.
You may have noticed that I made no attempt to debunk the doll, and that's because I'm not a total dick. Hayley was very kind to welcome us into her home to film Letta. I'm not going to take advantage of Hayley's hospitality to undermine her or Letta in an attempt to debunk the doll. I am a paranormal debunker, but some of my videos may just well be me reporting on some interesting items like this. I will just say this before I end the video, and I know there's going to be some of you who would think I'm bullshitting when I say this, but I promise you this is true. The day after I visited Letta, I felt like crap. I was totally exhausted. Now, I don't normally feel that way, but my skeptical brain is telling me that this really has nothing to do with Letta, and more because I'm a father of 2 small kids, and they are like energy vampires.
Okay, that's fair.
Is there anything that in particular... I swear, when you turn that camera off, it starts... It must be because I'm... It must be because I am moving more freely. It must be. This is going to be the thing to turn my whole channel around.
Anyway, this is the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Cheerio!
Love it, man. Love it. Great job. Great stuff, man. That was awesome. I really do appreciate you actually sitting down. I love that you showed the owner a lot of respect, common courtesy, and treating the doll with respect. Regardless if you believe it's haunted or not, you still treated it with respect, which I appreciate. I mean, it's not yours, first off. Very humbling enough to let you come into her home, to check the doll out, hold it, and, you know, have conversations with it. That was neat of her to do, and I will definitely be giving her a follow on TikTok, as I encourage a lot of you guys to do so too. Get her over, I think it said she was like 60-something, I can't remember, but get her over like 200, 300, I mean, that would be awesome. If you have not subscribed to Side Eye Guy, please do so. Letta is interesting, and for the reasons I think I already said, Letta is interesting because he's not behind glass doors. He's not in a museum. He's living pretty much, I'd even say, a normal life compared to the other ones, where they're more of display pieces. Letta is not really a display piece, which I find that to be intriguing. I find that to be kind of awesome, in a sense. So let me know what you guys think down below. Do you believe that Letta is haunted? Do you believe that there could be something there? I want to see your comments in the comment section. Again, so go support the Side Eye Guy, and I will see you guys in the next one. Please do take care.
JCARTSARTS is throwing down, coming after all these paranormal clowns. He's watching, not letting get away. On his way, JCARTSARTS, tearing the fakers apart. Lead with his heart, no one dare tell him can't react, because JCARTS has your back. JCARTSARTS has your back. JCARTSARTS is throwing down, coming after me. If you can't, can't stay. JCARTSARTS is through. You won't be mended.